A new era begins. The untold story of Jose Riveiro and the Kaizer Chiefs Revolution. Introduction. The silence before change. For a long time, the halls of Naturena carried a heavy silence. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of waiting. Kaizer Chiefs, a club built on glory, identity, and expectation, had reached a point where belief was being tested. Fans still filled the stands, songs still echoed, colors were still worn with pride, but deep inside, everyone knew one thing. Change was coming. Not loud change, not dramatic change, but strategic change. And then, quietly, almost unexpectedly, a name began to circulate in football circles. Jose Riveiro. A coach known not for noise, but for ideas. Not for headlines, but for structure. Not for promises, but for process. This is the story of how Jose Riveiro arrived at Kaizer Chiefs and how a new chapter began. A coach who studied the game. Jose Riveiro's journey was never about shortcuts. From his early coaching days, he believed football was not just played, it was understood. He studied patterns. He analyzed spacing. He focused on player behavior when they did not have the ball. While many coaches chased instant results, Riveiro chased identity. He believed teams should dominate space, not just possession. Players should think before reacting. Football should be intelligent, not emotional. His coaching philosophy was built patiently, step by step, country by country, team by team. And wherever he went, one thing followed him: improvement. Kaizer Chiefs at a crossroads. At Naturena, decision-makers faced a serious question. Should the club continue searching for short-term solutions, or should it commit to a long-term vision? Kaizer Chiefs is not just a football club, it is a cultural institution. Any coach stepping into that environment must understand pressure is constant. Expectations are immediate. History watches every move. The club did not need a miracle worker. It needed an architect. Someone who could rebuild confidence, restore structure, develop players, unite supporters with purpose. Jose Riveiro's profile stood out, not because he promised trophies overnight, but because he promised direction. The decision. When discussions began, they were not rushed. Chiefs analyzed tactical adaptability, player development record, mental resilience, leadership under pressure. Jose Riveiro impressed not with words but with clarity. He spoke about high-intensity pressing with discipline, building from the back with intelligence, midfield control through positioning, wide players creating overloads, strikers contributing beyond goals. He emphasized something very important. Kaizer Chiefs must first become hard to beat before becoming beautiful again. That sentence changed everything. Soon after, the decision was made. Jose Riveiro was appointed head coach of Kaizer Chiefs. No fireworks, no drama, just belief. Arrival at Naturena. When Riveiro arrived at the training ground, he didn't start with speeches. He started with observation. He watched how players warmed up, how they communicated, how they reacted after mistakes, how leaders behaved. Only after understanding the environment did he speak. His message was simple. This badge deserves discipline, courage, and responsibility. Training sessions immediately changed. Higher tempo, clear positional instructions, tactical drills with purpose. Video analysis sessions increased. Players realized quickly this was different. There were no favorites, there were no shortcuts, only performance. Changing the mindset. One of Jose Riveiro's biggest challenges was not tactics, it was belief. Years of inconsistency created fear, fear of mistakes, fear of criticism, fear of responsibility. Riveiro addressed this head-on. He encouraged playing forward with confidence, defenders to trust the system, midfielders to demand the ball, forwards to press without hesitation. Mistakes were corrected, not punished. Slowly, players began to express themselves again. The Kaizer Chiefs training ground started to feel alive. The tactical identity. On match days, fans noticed changes. Kaizer Chiefs pressed as a unit, maintained compact shape, transitioned quickly, controlled matches without rushing. The team was not perfect, but it was organized. Results began to stabilize, performances became consistent, confidence returned. Riveiro rotated wisely. Young players were trusted, senior players were challenged. Most importantly, the team looked like it had a plan. The fans begin to believe. Kaizer Chiefs supporters are passionate, emotional, and loyal. They don't just watch football, they feel it. At first, skepticism existed, but match by match, something changed. Fans saw players fighting together, clear tactical patterns, calm touchline leadership, a coach who respected the badge. Chants grew louder, stadiums felt alive again. Hope returned, cautiously but genuinely. Pressure and response. Every big club faces storms. Losses came, criticism followed, media questions intensified. But Riveiro remained calm. He never blamed players. He never attacked officials. He never changed direction out of fear. Instead, he spoke of process, improvement, long-term goals. That calmness filtered into the squad. Under pressure, Kaizer Chiefs didn't collapse. They responded. Building for the future. Beyond match results, Riveiro focused on sustainability. Youth integration became key. Training standards were raised. Performance data was prioritized. Kaizer Chiefs were no longer chasing yesterday. They were building tomorrow. The club identity started to re-emerge. Brave, intelligent, disciplined, united. Jose Riveiro's arrival at Kaizer Chiefs was not a promise of instant glory. It was a promise of direction. A promise of structure over chaos, identity over panic, growth over shortcuts. And as the Amakoshi march forward, one thing is clear.